What's going on, guys? We have Lamborghini Gallardo in today that we're gonna do full removal of all the window tint on it. We actually already got started on the rest of it, already removed the back quarter windows, the back window, and then that side. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this one. We're gonna be using our steamer, which is, it's the best way to start off. It doesn't guarantee you a perfect removal, but you know, sometimes you get lucky and you get a pretty clean removal. On this vehicle, much like all the other rest of like, you know, Corvettes, Mustangs, things like that, these frameless ones, a lot of people, you know, notice, or customers call us and they say, hey, my window goes up an inch or whatever, is that gonna be a problem? It's not a problem. It's a very easy solution. Basically what you do is if you come around this way, it's basically the latch that latches your car whenever you close it. That latch engages and it causes that window to go up that little bit of a half inch or whatever. So see, we close it and then that goes up. So we go ahead and we take care of that. So then that was not an issue. The one thing also do remember though, once you go ahead and engage that, you don't want to close the window, because if you close the window, you run a risk of either scratching, like for example, like on Teslas, you can scratch that frame on there because your window is engaged and it's already up, or worst case scenario, you can break it. So what I like to do is basically just go ahead, I'll put a towel or something just to let me know that there's that the window's engaged. Basically, for me and whoever else is working, so then that way, the towel's not gonna stop anything, but at least it makes you stop and think like, oh, you know, that towel's right there. You would think like, oh, let me move it out of the way, but then you think, hey, you know, it's there for a reason because that's there. So then that way, we remember that. So I'll just put those right there just in case we forget. Basically, the name of the game when you start removing is just slow and steady. Don't get too happy pulling the stuff off. Usually, you'll start getting it pretty well, and it starts coming off, and you get happy, and then you just keep on pulling it without steaming it. Then sometimes the glue residue just sticks on there, so just slow and steady. We'll heat up that corner real quick. I like to take my little pick tool right here. So, just till it wants to come off by itself. It was pretty good. And the reason we're removing this one is because we're gonna go darker, and also this one has a scratch on the inside tint right there. So once we get that little corner going, there we go. That little corner going. Start pulling it. So for example, right now it's looking good. We're not getting any residue left. Usually you'll be able to tell if there's any residue because it's like blurry. So this is just one of those slow and steady, a little bit at a time. Those of you guys who already know how to tint, or even if you don't, same thing. Basically, just pull the amount that you heated. So, you know, we're heating, you know, a couple, 2-3 inches, so we only pull that much. Obviously, it's going to be a lot easier to pull this. So sometimes you forget. You're like, oh, it's coming off easy. And you're tempted to keep on pulling it, and then when you keep on pulling it, that stuff that's not heated is that stuff that ends up giving you an issue, and you start getting all that glue residue. So see, we're getting pretty good removal there. So then you gotta remember, only pull where there's heat. And you'll be able to tell if you pull too far because you'll start seeing whenever you pulled it, like a little bit of glue residue staying on the glass. Some film, no matter what, like no matter how long you sit, the glue is just gonna stay on there, and you have no other choice but just to pull it off and then remove the glue by hand. But usually, just slowly, it comes off. Once it all starts coming off, I like to fold it, because then you fold it and sort of like the heat stays trapped in there. So it actually helps with the removal also as well, I found. So what we have on here is 20%. See, like, so if you want to come look over here, I don't know if you can see that much, but if you look over here, there's a little piece of glue right there. Obviously, I went too far. I moved too quick. And you can tell there's a little piece of glue residue right there and right there. So, because I was heating basically this side and I wasn't heating that, and I just got happy and started pulling that over there. So what we do is we, again, just heat where we're going to be pulling. So that way, so you see we started heating up again, and now we're not getting any glue residue back there. But also, if you're just starting off and you're doing this kind of stuff, again, you forget and you don't have really an eye yet for it. Like this kind of stuff will be, you can easily overlook because the glue is clear. So if I didn't have, or somebody doesn't have the experience, sometimes you're like, oh, you know, it came out perfect. You forget that piece. Then when you go to tint it and it dries, then that little piece just becomes like a white milky piece of glue that just stayed in there and now dries up, and now you're gonna get a call back saying that you got some weird contamination on there. So slow and steady, just be patient. Being patient and taking it slowly will save you a lot of time at the end, as opposed to, you know, just ripping it off and then having to end up taking your blade and taking all this glue off. Because when you take off the glue, there's just a bunch of goo left all over the place. Now you gotta clean all that stuff off. You gotta make sure you clean it off the door panels, if you got it on the door panels, if you didn't cover your door panels. So sometimes just going slow, even though it might seem like it's taking longer, it actually saves you time from doing a whole bunch of other stuff at the end. So now we're all good to go. So basically, as you can tell, it all came off really well, except that little piece right there. But then what we're gonna do is spray a little bit of adhesive remover. That'll take care of all this stuff. So now if you look at the adhesive remover, how it looks like, kind of like starting to look like kind of like milky, that's what it would look like if you missed it and then you tinted your window on the outside. And you don't want that to come back. So just take a blade and a towel. Here. I try to use the blade as least as possible, not even on side windows, just because you never know. Some glass is kind of finicky, so sort of just like spot clean it. Scrubby pad, scrub your window. So the scrubby pad, sometimes if there's glue, this is not going to get rid of it, but this is good for like spreading everything around. And then usually, then I can just rub my hand on it and you can feel if there's stuff on there. So that way, if there's still glue residue on there, you could just go in there individually. Like if there's a little spot, you can sit there and take it off with your nail, or if you want to use a blade, just a little tiny bit right there, then you can do that. But otherwise, besides that, this looks like it's pretty ready to go. And that's how we take care of removals. After this, we're going to go ahead and get started on doing the side windows. We're going to hand cut them all, do an installation, finish installing the rest of the windows, and then we're going to do also the front windshield. So stay tuned for the next video.